Welcome back to another episode of Necessary Roughness. With me is my good friend Nate, big Bears fan. Nate, how we doing tonight?
Not too bad, but we're got to have a little something here on the side.
Oh, the old Malort. We've also got Nick popping in here. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, boys? Pretty good. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. We've got some AFC and NFC conference championship games to talk about before we take any deep dives. Any quick hot takes on it? Any thoughts right out the gate?
The refs in the AFC title game were beyond atrocious, and I'll get more into that later.
I missed most of the AFC title game. I decided I had to coach 7th grade basketball this weekend, and I missed most of that game. So I'm interested to get your take. You got any hot takes there, Nick? I like that coat, by the way.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, just Dan Campbell, man. Like, we'll get into it, but we love him, man. But we call him Dan Gamble for a reason, and I guess he gambled on the things this weekend. But I think if you make it that far doing that all year, obviously I didn't watch too many of the Lions full games, but Lions fans were telling me that's how we got here. So I guess you live and die by it, but they died by it, so it sucks.
Yeah, we'll get into that too more, but yeah, like you see a lot of should have done this, should have done that, but everybody's like, well, that's what they did all year.
They do, right?
Or they've done it not just all year, for 3 straight years, since he got there. So
right.
Looks like we got Keebler popping in here, seeing don't know if his camera's on working or his mic. I think I can hear his mic, I think.
Yeah, I think the mic works, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
mic works.
Yeah, my computer's being a little frustrating, where it says that
lovely.
it can't find a camera. So I guess I'm gonna have to rock his kid for the day.
I've had that happen a couple times. It's quite annoying. Keebler, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing good right now. I'm sweating a parlay. That's looking really good.
What you got for me? What you got?
Let's see. We got only things that I need now are it'll load. There we go. I need Josh Hart to have 2 more rebounds plus assists. Dennis Schroeder to have 3 more assists. Curry to drop 25. Trae Young to have 1 more assist, and Miles Turner to grab 3 more boards. So definitely feasible.
Yeah, not bad.
And then the other one is Murray State over Illinois State. Loyola
Should win that game.
Loyola Chicago over St. Louis.
Sister
Oklahoma over Kansas State.
Sister Jean.
TCU over Texas Tech. Marquette over Nova. Knicks over Jazz, and Hawks over Lakers.
Are the Knicks
winning?
Yeah, we're up by 6.
Yeah, Knicks are comfortably winning, so are the Hawks.
Let's go. And my college ones are looking good right now, as long as Villanova doesn't score 4 points in 7 seconds.
I like your college ones. I'm a big fan of what I heard there. I think I had Loyola in one, and I had Murray State too. I actually had both of those in one. I did.
I'm starting to like college basketball a lot more. I know that I said that I wasn't very into it, but now that I'm getting into it, it's very easy to bet on.
Yeah. You find teams that are good and you like, and at the mid-majors level stuff too. It's fun, and I stand by March Madness is the best weekend of the year. So
Yeah.
I got to say real quick, I'm going to do this just to celebrate, but IU comfortably, well, not comfortably, but
did they win tonight?
Yeah, they shot some birds. So cheers.
There you go, cheers.
Down go the Hawkeyes.
I'm cheering with my water, or cheersing with my water behind Kevin's face.
Behind Kev. Kev's here in spirit. Kev is playing a saxophone somewhere on the 100th episode of the Clout Route right now, most likely.
Let's go.
So I'm going to jump up. We'll just go in order. I'm going to pull up the Chiefs-Ravens game. Like I said, I missed the majority of this. I know what happened, but I didn't see it live. And I'm real sad. Not a fan. I don't want to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, guys. I'm just going to be just quite honest here. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of Kelsey. I'm tired of T. Swizzle. I'm sick of them.
Ravens versus refs.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, there were some really atrocious calls, but to me, two of the worst ones were Lamar's last interception down in the fourth in the end zone. Threw it into triple coverage. It was a terrible throw. He shouldn't have thrown it. But I forget who the Chiefs defensive back was that basically shoved Isaiah Likely in the back out of the way. I'm not, you have to call that irregardless of whether or not you're bailing out somebody's bad throw. But I mean, clearly on the video, Likely gets shoved out of the way before the ball even gets intercepted. I mean, that was real one bad one. And then personally for me, when Roquan got his 15-yard unnecessary roughness penalty, to me, that really should have only been an offsides penalty because, I mean, he kind of jumped. And I think on purpose, too, if I remember correctly. But they were a little extra with the flags there. But overall, I'm not going to go the conspiracy route here just because when you go away from what has made you successful with the Ravens, I believe they had only 5 like legit running back run calls the entire game.
Yep.
And they were, I believe, the number one rushing offense. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me, in the NFL.
You're right.
I really don't understand what the hell that play calling was.
Yeah, I mean, in the Lions game, at least they stayed with what they do, right? And they lost, and props to them and Dan for continuing to do what he does and dying on his sword. But I mean, Monken and the Raven offense, I mean, it was so strange to watch them drop back and pass down. It was almost as if we were watching like Peyton, Tom Brady. I'm like, what is this? What is this game plan? Like, as you said, like to your point, you don't see Lamar do that basically ever. And it was just a strange sequence of events that took place in that game. And after Zay Flowers, for no reason, that was a big momentum shifter after he made a big play and then decided to taunt on L'Jarius Sneed for no reason. Like, you're still losing by 10. And then he, obviously they get down again and he tries to dive. Yeah, I don't know why you're doing that, because if you're at the 2 or 1 yard line, you should be able to get in the end zone anyways. So he's trying to dive, and Sneed obviously got for that because he was pissed at him from before, and then he knocks the ball free, and that's essentially, in my opinion, was the game over. So yeah,
I don't really have a problem with the taunting penalty, and to be honest with you, as Joey B of our Cincinnati Bengals, was tweeting, let people taunt, honestly. Like, I have no problem with it. I mean, the spike and spin of the football was a little extra, but also Zay Flowers' leg was getting held on, so I don't even think the shove was that bad. You got to be smarter though about when you're diving, for the end zone, because I mean, he left that ball pretty much wide open, and we saw what happened there.
And was it a sweep reverse? What was it? I didn't see. I saw the fumble. I didn't see the beginning of the
it was a little dink pass, like 4 or 5 yards.
Pass,
yeah, on a I guess you could kind of call it a slant route.
Yeah, the No Fun League took away taunting, but
no fun. The diving at the goal line is such a high risk, high reward play that's going to absolutely get viewed. They're going to look into it this offseason, because if you reach out like that, it gets punched out, you fumble it. It's like Nick says, you lose the game essentially right there. And then, or there's the it flies out of the end zone and it's 20 yards the other way. You lose the ball. It's almost not worth it. Like, and especially with them, where you've got number one rushing offense, you've got Lamar, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. You could have just smashed it down their throat. The Chiefs ranked, what were they, the 28th ranked rushing defense this year. And like you guys mentioned earlier, 5 to 6 true run calls all game. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's like they lost their mind.
Mm-hmm. I think that Kansas City kind of punched him in the mouth early on as well. I think it was 5. Patrick was doing all crazy stuff, and Travis making insane catches we've never seen. But I mean, from them you never expect the most incredible things, and they always happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they were kind of shocked by that, and they went right down and scored. Obviously, Lamar and them were able to come back and say they got a touchdown, but I just feel like maybe I don't think that the game plan going in was to run the ball 6 times, true run plays. I don't think that was obviously that wouldn't be the game plan going in. That's like the 73-9 Warriors. Like, let's not shoot threes this game. I don't think that that's what they were trying to do. They just kind of got shell shot, kind of like the Dallas Cowboys against the Green Bay Packers in Wild Card Weekend. I think they were a little shocked, and then the game plan kind of switched to a different style that they weren't used to. I still think that you can run the ball. It wasn't a blowout, but I was definitely shocked to see them just continue to pass, because Lamar, that's putting way too much pressure on his arm. He can make throws when the flow is correct and to his skill set. And when they're running ball, he's able to run the ball. And that, it's just football. Defenses are like, oh wow, so now we have to respect the pass and we can go play action. But if you're just throwing every time, not a elite thrower of the football. I love him. He's the MVP. He's great, but he's not an elite thrower of the football. And to have him have to throw every time against one of the better pass defenses, how are you going to win the game like that?
Anybody got any comments on that? Like, he's right. Like the amount of times they pass, like they get down 7 and just lost their mind. It felt like 37 pass attempts by Lamar. 37.
I think you should realize that you have to run the ball when Lamar's catching his own passes.
They did the old Marcus Mariota.
When he's second on your team in receiving yards, like 2.5, 3 quarters through the game, you should realize to just start running the football. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Also, like, you activate probably your best receiver in Mark Andrews, and you throw the ball to him 2 times and hardly play him.
Him getting activated reminded me of the Titans a few years ago when they activated Derrick Henry when they were the 1 seed, and Deontay Foreman had been playing out of his mind, replacing them.
Yeah.
And then they bring him in, and he's not fully there yet, and their offense stalls out. They put Foreman in for a couple of runs.
With the tear that likely was on, they should have just tried to keep feeding him and keep Andrews off the field.
Yeah.
That was eerily similar stat lines. They both had 2 catches, 15, 16 yards.
I knew that would be a mistake when they were like, "Oh, Mark Andrews is back." I was like, "Great," but that's not.
Yeah, but you have Isaiah Likely coming out of his mind over here.
Yeah.
Let's bring back a guy who hasn't played in weeks.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah, I didn't think that was such a smart decision. You gotta go with what works.
Yeah, I don't mind bringing him back, but I don't like pushing him to be number 1. Right, I like throw him right back. It takes time, and he'd been out for 6 weeks, probably, maybe longer.
Oh, he was out for like the majority of the season, right? He got hurt.
Yeah.
In the early stage of the year, and everyone was like, "Oh no, they're done." But obviously, they go on a tear, and now they have Likely who's emerging, and then you put him back out there as if he's never missed a game. Like, that just isn't how it works. So.
Yeah, I mean, to me, honestly, it's a situation where if you're going to activate him and you feel confident in activating him, don't do some BS. What's the term I'm looking for? Decoy sort of thing, which like they didn't even really use him as a decoy because he played like at most half the game. I saw or read that they were kind of flipping him on and off with Likely in terms of what series he was going to play, but like the second half of the game, it seemed more so Likely was in there probably about 75% of the time, just an observation. You either use him or you should have never activated him.
Yeah.
It's do or die time. If he's able to play, use him. Don't do whatever the Ravens did on Sunday.
Yeah. It's funny because you'd think that after the Bills game, the Bills were dominating in the run game against Kansas City in the first half. James Cook was going for 8, 10 to 10 yards every single rush. And as a Bills fan, it looked exactly like the Cowboys game earlier in the season, where Dan Quinn didn't make a single adjustment.
Yeah.
And I credit Spags to be a better DC than Dan Quinn is, because he was able to make adjustments and force us to have to throw the ball, which changed the complexion of the game. And then, of course, it got a little tight and we weren't able to run it. But we were dominating so much in that game, running the football and just in the trenches, that a team that's number one rush, in my mind, going into the game, I had no doubts that Baltimore would dominate the game because of that fact. That's why I was telling people that Baltimore would win, because they're not because, they're so much better, or Lamar's better than Patrick. Not at all. I just believe that in the trenches, that's usually where the game is won. And when I was watching it unfold, I was like, okay, this is not at all what I was saying. I don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And it, unfolded just completely opposite of what I expected. So, them losing, I think that 9 out of 10 times they would have completely done a different game plan. But,
it was the 10th time.
Yeah, that was the 10th time.
Yeah.
Let Lamar his arm. So listen.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk more later about it, but I would hope that Kyle Shanahan, takes into account what happened in the AFC title game, and you have probably the best running back in the game. You have a really great fullback. You run
Saquon
some
Barkley's
good
not on the 49ers.
What?
Say what?
I said Saquon Barkley's not on the 49ers.
Why? Go enjoy
Relentless.
Daniel Jones.
Relentless. He will just not stop. He won't quit it, folks.
Hey, go enjoy a Daniel Jones contract and let me know how that goes. But yeah,
I
mean,
I will
he's got
enjoy
all these.
Jaden Daniels this season for sure.
We do got some comments here. Nate, we got Sean calling you out. This dude really drinking a beer right now. How unprofessional you lost, man. Thanks to Nate.
It is not a beer, Sean. And you know what, Sean? Screw you.
And then he says, "You're always wrong, Nate, even when you're right." Scrub. Relentless here in the comments today. Bite-sized Vikes said Brad Johnson did it first. I can't remember what we were talking about there. But yeah, I can't believe we got a 17-10, only 3 points in the second half game.
Yep.
And the Ravens, and you're telling me the Ravens lost. The Ravens held Patrick Mahomes to 17 points and put a big fat L on the board.
Right.
Just
some anticlimactic games in this playoffs, right? There hasn't really been any fire.
Yeah, I would agree.
Also, the two giveaways by the Ravens didn't help at all. There was the fumble and there was a Lamar interception.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, those solidified the L. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the Chiefs did, that's what the Chiefs didn't do. They didn't turn the ball over, really.
Yeah. They played a clean game.
You bring up a good point. The playoffs, from the divisional round on, it's just there's been a lot of bad games. It's not been great. But go ahead.
Even in the wild card, there was all blowouts except the Rams. Great game. Everyone was like blowout.
Yep.
Rams, good game. And what I was saying was, hopefully in the divisional we'll get some more fireworks, because this was obvious. And I always joke about the script writer. I was like, all right, so he's just kind of getting us
warming us up a little bit,
ready for the fireworks in the second round, right? And I was like, okay. I mean, the Bills Chiefs game was okay. It wasn't crazy. It was good. It was a good game. I was like, okay, the AFC Championship's gonna be crazy, right? And I'm like, okay, this isn't weird. It's a weird game. What's going on here? And then of course the NFC Championship was more cinema than the first game, I guess. But listen, I mean, these games have not been that great, honestly. The regular season, they've had much better games than this in the playoffs. But football.
Well, I kind of think we're at the cusp of a shift in offensive identity.
Yeah.
I think I'm not going to say next year immediately, but I think we're going to kind of go back to a kind of a modification of a power run attack with how these defenders are kind of come. I mean, they're you kind of want people who are good at pass rush, got some speed, but don't necessarily have, the big office up on the line there. I think somebody's going to kind of hit on a big power running attack in the next couple of years and kind of cycle it back to, you definitely want this huge run game, but I don't think it's going to be a bell cow situation. And I, as this comment has said a little bit, a run kind of started to work well. I think that's what's going to be happening moving forward.
Mm-hmm. I mean, their trade deadline this year, one Derrick Henry was rumored to be going to the Ravens, and he is a free agent after this season. So there's some dots already being connected there that he's trying to get a Super Bowl. Ravens #1 rush offense this year. Bring a guy like him in. Like, it's not what he was in 2019, but he's still had 1,000 yards behind a pretty terrible offensive line last year, although his advanced stats weren't great. I'd hate to see it because I always tend to see Tennessee Titans end up in Ravens uniforms.
The only problem with that is that the Ravens have so many free agents that they have to re-sign. How much money are they going to have for someone like
Correct,
Derrick
yeah.
Henry?
Yeah, and that's the question is, what is he going to get in free agency? What's he worth?
I would love to.
There's teams that'll instantly give him like 15 mil just because he's Derrick Henry.
Somebody will probably do it in the Titans.
I mean, I don't want the Bears to do that, but I would love to see him in Chicago, just with a solid rushing attack that we have. Kind of a couple of pieces there. But I don't want to sign him at $15 million a year, though, just because there's other needs that the Bears really need.
15's a lot for an aging running back, quite a bit. Albert says wildcard round was filled with lopsided poor games. It's a little better with divisional round, but it was rather telling how poorly some teams played this year. Yeah, it was. Yeah, a lot of playoff teams just yuck, bad news, no bueno. Kind of like the Pacers right now. They're down 7. They cannot get this game figured out. It's going to hurt my soul. However, the other game was actually really good, and let's see. Here we go. You got a Niners 34-31 win. The Detroit Lions were up 24-7, and then proceed to have one of the worst third quarters in the history of ever. They fumbled. They miss a field, or they didn't get a fourth down. Niners scored, immediate fumble. Niners scored, tied the game. It was absolutely horrible. Yep. You guys think we talked a little bit about the gambling. We'll continue down that road. Did Dan Campbell make the right calls? Did the Lions blow this game? Did the Niners find a way to win? How do you guys view this game? Because it was a 10-point game at the end. The Lions score late to get it to 3, but they screwed up on third down, ran it, got stopped, and lost their last timeout. So put it in the hands of onside kick, and it did not go well.
I don't have a problem necessarily with some of the calls. I mean, the turnover on downs that led to Niners scoring that last touchdown that put them up by 10, maybe take the points on that one. Mm-hmm. But it was just kind of poor execution on behalf of Goff, because if I remember correctly, I believe it was Gibbs was coming across the field, and he was open. And I mean, with his abilities, I would have been confident with him getting the first down there. But like, you think about it, I mean, even with the second half crap fest that the Lions had, I mean, Josh Reynolds drops a pass on fourth down that he really should have caught. I mean, former Bear, who I absolutely despise as a player, Kendall Vindor, and I know I butchered that pronunciation, but the ball bouncing off his goddamn helmet right into Ayuk's hands.
Yeah, what about that?
No.
Woof.
I mean, it. You second guess things, but like, that's how the Lions got there. Those plays should have been successful, but unfortunately, due to a drop, among other things,
I feel like that
didn't work out.
I feel like that excuse is kind of weak, though. Like, oh, that's how they got there. Like, yeah, that's how they got there. But once you get there, you're at the game right before the Super Bowl. You kind of have to adjust accordingly. And when you're up like that, at least for the first field goal, take the points when you're up that big. The second field goal, I get it. You're at their 30. You're on fourth down. Like, you can go for it. So that one I didn't have as much of a problem with. But if you just take those 2 field goals, you win 37-34. Like, it just comes down to that, essentially. So,
well, you say that.
What do you say?
I said you say that, but then, the Lions have had kicking problems throughout the year, and Marvin Badgley isn't a super strong kicker either. So that kind of also plays into a part, what decision making is going on.
Another thing is
from the 30, that's like what, a 44-yard field goal?
47, 48.
You also say that if you kick those field goals, you win 37-34. But you have to also think like the game goes in a completely different direction if you kick the.
It does, but at the same time, if you take the first field goal, you're putting more pressure on 49ers to perform better. So
you're saying like when it was 24-10, make it 27-10, right?
Yeah, exactly.
2 to 3 possession game. Like, there's no reason to go for that one. But the second one, I think it was going to be like a 49-50 yarder.
It was at least 48. It was long.
I agree with that.
I thought they were at the 30, so I thought that'd be like 40, like 46.
That was the first one. Yeah, I would have taken that. And then the second one, I think they would have been like a 48, 49 yarder. I'm with Zach on that. Like, I think you go for that. But funnily enough, I can't say that word. Funny that like the first one, I'm saying you should have kicked the field goal, but there was a better chance. Josh Reynolds just dropped it, and then the second one, I say that you should go for it, but it wasn't even close. So I don't know.
Josh Reynolds had a couple big drops there down the stretch.
Yeah, he had big drops, sure. And then he was asked about it, and he was like, "Shit happens." I'm like, "What?" I play football.
The 48 yarder, that was the one that I don't know their kicker at all, so I was like, maybe it's on the fringe. Yeah, see, John, I do the old college football, add 17 yards. That's how I know it. I just didn't. I don't know their kicker enough to know if it was in the range or not. So 48 seemed like it. The other one was one I would have kicked it. You guys think they should have? They kicked it right before half. Do you think they should have tried to punch it in right before half or kick that one as well?
No,
when they're on the goal line.
If you're going with their logic of going for it every time, then they should have tried to punch it in. If that's the game plan they were going for, keep it consistent.
I liked kicking 3 there because if you don't get it, it reminded me of the 2021 and championship where the Bengals beat the Chiefs the first time they played, and the Chiefs were up a lot. And if you guys remember, like the Chiefs came down and they got no points at the end of the half, and it completely changed the momentum of the game. Cincinnati was like, "Oh shit, we have a chance." But if you take the field goal, it's like it kind of just like demoralizes you. I think that if you go for it, and there's a big stand by San Fran, they go in the locker room hyped up and like, boys, we have a chance to win this shit. 21-7. We're only down 2 touchdowns. But if you take that field goal, which they did, it kind of demoralizes you. You just you gave up more points.
Yeah.
So I think they had all the momentum going. Then they had the field goal to start the half. They could have had the field goal to make it 27-10 right back at them, just like continuing to put pressure. But they decided to go for it, and that was a complete momentum shifter.
Mm-hmm. Nate, what are your thoughts? You agree or disagree with them there?
I'm pretty much on board. Going for it on fourth there. I don't necessarily have a problem with the play calls. Again, Josh Reynolds dropped it. I mean, that hit him right in the hands. And if Goff, takes another read, I mean, he dumps it off to Gibbs, and Gibbs most likely will get the first down instead of, what they threw there. But, I mean, in the long run, yeah, they don't make them, but also the defense has a chance to kind of stop them, and it looks like the defense never came out of the locker room in the second half to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Albert says the same thing. He says he wasn't surprised by Campbell's call. This is the guy that did run 3 2-point attempts in a row after 2 penalties against Cowboys. So,
yeah.
It just
At
sucks
least-
because
Go ahead, Keeps.
they have a fantastic offensive coordinator.
Hmm.
Arguably more important to their team than Dan Campbell. You can
Who
argue.
announced today that he's staying, by the way. Who announced he's staying.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know it wouldn't have surprised me if the Lions, even though Dan Campbell made like a huge quote unquote culture whatever shift, if they gave him the boot after that game, it wouldn't have surprised me because that offensive coordinator, if he was a head coach, would be phenomenal. If he kept the play calling in his hands.
You think they would have?
Like you say that, but this isn't to go on another sport here. This isn't a situation where you got a guy like and this happened to him twice. You got a guy like Rick Renneria, who kind of rights the ship, but then you go out and get somebody like Joe Madden. This happened with the Cubs in 2014, 2015. That would be really stupid to get rid of Dan Campbell based on some calls that didn't work out in the NFC title game.
Yeah. I mean, the franchise that is known for losing, and they hadn't been in a situation like that in forever. He goes 3-13 and 1 in his first year, which was expected. Then he exceeds expectations, goes 9-8, and beats Green Bay and knocks them out of the playoffs in the last week of the season. And now we have a season where I thought they should have won that Dallas game. So they should have had 13 wins, and they go to the NFC title game. You can't fire them for a couple bad calls. Easy. I mean, my coach, Sean McDermott, he's a bonehead and makes dumb decisions all the time. But we're still keeping him because he's one of the best defensive coordinators and defensive line in the game. Like, you don't just give him the boot just because he made some bad decisions.
I still can't get over that.
Tennessee did. Tennessee did.
I still can't get over that play call of giving DeMar Hamlin a fake punt.
No, I can't either, but guess what? He's still fine. So
Hey, you know what? He had to help him seal comeback player of the year. Just saying.
Yeah, that must have been I just would have loved to be down on the sideline. I don't like to go back to the Bills when they're not even relevant right now. But imagine they're like, we're gonna give this to DeMar, and everyone's like, what? It was like, yeah, it's gonna be great. We're gonna
Someone said that McDermott was hoping that the Chiefs would do the Make-A-Wish thing where where you just let them run it.
Literally, but it's like,
Oh no.
Like, I would have loved the play call on the sideline. Everyone's just imagine telling
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's give it to fucking DeMar.
Yeah, we're gonna fake this punt and give it to DeMar. Like, what? You can't disagree with it because it's DeMar. You can't say anything bad about him. Like,
No, you can't. You can't say anything bad.
I know people are gonna get mad that he's gonna win comeback player of the year, but yeah, he's not the best player in the world or any good in the NFL, but how can you – I mean, he got to somewhat playing level. How can you take away from somebody basically dying?
Especially because there's no one else that really stands out to me. Especially with Joe Flacco publicly saying, I think DeMar deserves it.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, I think.
I think it should be Baker, personally.
Comeback player of the year is coming back from injury, in my mind. I
would agree, not just disappearing forever.
Yeah. It's not coming back from being bad. I don't see how that bad and then you're good. That's most improved, right? That's a different award to me. I'm a Knicks fan, so Julius Randle won most improved in the COVID year. So he was bad in 2019 or okay. And then he was an all-star and the heart of the team in 2020. So he was most improved player. Makes sense. But if Joe Flacco's bad with the Jets and then he's on his couch and then he gets signed to the Browns and it makes a great run, how is that comeback? Comeback from being bad? DeMar from the toughest injury death of all time in the NFL history just to be back. I feel 95 to 99% of people would have been like, I'm retiring. I'm not putting my body out there for this anymore. I got my story. Mm-hmm. I don't need to go out there and play anymore. But the fact that he as I said, he's not the best. I mean, as Nathan said, he's not the best player. He was never the best player, undersized, can't really tackle. He's not great. But, the fact that he did come back and isn't, he was actually making some plays and in the game when guys like Micah Hyde and Taylor Rapp would go down. I mean, the fact that we can depend on him, like the fact that happened to him and then he's still on the field for a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of just give it to him this year. You know, nobody else really deserves it crazily. I don't think.
I would agree with you.
I feel like being the Panthers practice squad D end is essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. That picture will never not be funny.
You know, but though, like, if we're going to be honestly, Baker should have gotten it last year, as weird as that is. Well, who got it last year? I don't even remember. That's how irrelevant this award is, to be honest with you.
Also, yeah.
But, like, you know, Baker goes to Carolina, ends up being scout team defensive end, comes back and is, you know, great in Los Angeles once all that stuff goes down. I mean, you got a perfect story there.
Yeah.
Just let the guy who died have it. I mean, who really cares?
Yeah, who cares about awards anyway? Like, I don't care about the Grammys. Like, why am I rooting for some award? I care about the Bills. Like, I don't care about the MVP. Like, that's somebody else, man. Like, that's not a team award. That's your award. Go get that, Lamar. Like, go ahead. Like, good for you. Like, I don't care about that. On you for getting an MVP. That's great. Like, I don't know why people hate on people for getting awards.
People hate greatness.
Yeah, like that. You wish you were the comeback player of the year guy on your couch yelling at the mark. Like, out of here.
No, he wishes he could be the Panthers practice squad DN.
Exactly. I don't know. I never understood like hating on awards. That doesn't even matter. It means nothing.
Yeah, I'm sure Lamar's really gonna like his MVP award here when they give it to him.
Yeah, he'll love it
next week. You know, it's gonna be a
really
real concession prize.
I don't
Hot
think
take.
you can make the Hall of Fame for being a 5-time comeback player of the year. I don't think you can make the Hall of Fame. Give him one, dude. Like, I don't know.
You know, hot take though, no quarterback should win the MVP this year, and I think that has been constantly proved through the playoffs.
Yeah,
it should be Tyreek Hill.
No, it should be McCaffrey.
It should
be Mac.
No, I don't think so.
What's that, Nick? You kind of cut out there.
I said it should be CMC, but Tyreek, like when he wasn't on the field and James and that type that you guys beat him, when he wasn't on the field, they look so
Correct.
It's not even funny. They're not that great, and they can only play when the breeze is perfect and it's 80 degrees outside in Miami. That's awesome that they can only play well in that. But when Tyreek Hill's not on the field, they don't look like they're competent. And when he's on the field, they look, in that 80-degree weather, when it's perfect outside, they actually look very good. So, but again, San Francisco lost to Cleveland without CMC. So both of those guys should be 1 and 2. I don't know why other guys are even being
honestly, homer take here, Montez Sweat should be the MVP.
Oh, yeah. Montez Sweat. Is he or he's the guy that had over 10 sacks for 2 different franchises, right?
Yeah, he led the Commanders and the Bears in sacks for the year.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes.
Great trade for them.
I don't know if that's good on Montez Sweat or just bad on those 2 franchises. I'm not sure which one that is.
Maybe a combination of both. Can it be both? I think so.
Be both. Yeah, it can be both.
I mean, I think, as a Bears fan here, I think it's kind of an indictment on the Bears prior to the trade, but then after the trade,
yeah, correct.
So be it. I mean,
you can't control it after that, right? Yeah. That makes sense.
All right, fine. Bite Size Mike says JJ for MVP.
Yeah, I feel like instead of having an MVP award, there should be I feel like there should still be an MVP award, but at the same time, I feel like there should be a quarterback of the year award.
Really, it should be get rid of the MVP award and have quarterback of the year, and then you have offensive player of the year, and problems are solved.
Because that's all the MVPs become anyway.
Because the defensive player can't win MVP, so what's the point of that?
Who was the last non-quarterback?
I think it was Adrian Peterson.
And before that, it was what?
Probably.
Didn't Lawrence Taylor win it 1 year?
I don't know. I remember Adrian Peterson was on the cover of Madden 25 was in 2013, and he was
Yeah.
So I know that,
Pulling it up right now. Let's see here.
but I don't.
Quarterbacks, yeah. Yeah, Adrian Peterson in 2012.
Right.
Before that, it was LT 06. There's a running back back-to-back 05, 06, Sean Alexander LT. But man, I mean, it's
You know what was
quarterback
crazy is
dominated award.
Mark Mosley as a kicker winning MVP in 1982.
Yeah,
That
that's
was-
wild. What the hell?
With the amount of kicking points he had, I feel like Graham Gano should have gotten it a couple years ago.
Dude, with the social media in 2024, if a kicker won the MVP, like back in 1982, they were probably like, "Oh yeah, what a great player he is. He's been kicking."
Yeah.
I mean, it was a strike shortened season, but still though.
Yeah, but like now, that would never fly.
Back would be wild.
If there was any chance of there being an MVP kicker, it would have been Justin Tucker
Yeah, exactly.
or Adam Vinatieri.
Yes.
Yep. What'd you guys think of the Mahomes Kelsey Justin Tucker exchange before the game?
I thought
you
it
guys
was funny.
think it was funny? Is
You
there
know,
anything
I
to
mean,
Justin?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You good.
I was
It's
gonna
all you,
say,
buddy.
like, if it was a situation where that was the Chiefs side of the field that they were supposed to be warming up on, Justin Tucker was purposely being a dick, in my opinion, just to kind of fuck with them. If I don't know what the warm up rules are. I don't know how they divvy up the field. I honestly, I don't really care. I mean, who cares? Like, I'm sure it was Tucker just kind of trying to be a dick on purpose, most likely. But you know what? If you want to try and get in your opponent's heads to make it work, which it obviously didn't work in this game, go for it. I think people probably made a bigger deal out of it than needed to be. But you know, the Swifties are going to be all like, if they ever break up, they're going to all be analyzing, like, saying he's a problem for something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they'll call him 100%. Or did you see what Travis did that one time? Like, what are you talking?
Did you see how he was such a dick?
He was so mean to Justin Tucker that one time.
Yeah, can you believe it? Justin Tucker did come out and say it was all in good fun. Like, he's like, there's nothing there. He's like, stop it.
He said, "I can't believe that I have to even address any of this."
That's the exact words. Yep.
By the way,
Can't believe I have to address this.
if this is week 7, I don't even think that's even on anything. Like,
Nobody even talks about it. Yeah.
championship game. If that's in week 7, no, like, so, like, I don't. It should like keep the same energy. Why does it matter if it's a bigger game? Like, everything is magnified when it's a bigger game like this. It's just like I think that Mahomes and Kelsey should do the same thing in 2 weeks. They should do the same thing.
Do it again.
Moody, like, do it. I don't care. And by the way, like, if you wanna get in like the opponent's head, as James just said, like, it's not illegal. You're not like, it's before the game. Anything that happens before and after the game is fair play. It's just that if you're gonna, like, during the game, if Tucker's about to make a kick and you go out and tackle him, well, we got a problem.
Yep.
And I'm sure they're friends with them. They're just like messing with them. It's not that big of a deal, man.
Yeah, it's not that deep. It's fine.
But people like to get upset about things. Like, honestly, just to kind of touch on this, because I also heard something earlier, and I want to say it was from Colin Cowherd, which normally I disagree with him, because he's terrible and talking head. But he said something that he like went back and looked, and honestly, like, at all the games that she was at, Taylor Swift was on screen for like an average of 25 seconds out of a 3.5 hour game. And people want to get so upset about that. Just kind of plays into the part where, like, people were so irritated about the whole Tucker Kelsey Mahomes thing that happened pregame. Everybody's got to, somebody's got to sell a story, so people talk about something.
Right.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah, they got to sell. They're selling it. There has to be something, like, in those kind of negative storylines. Like, even if it's nothing, but we're gonna make it into something. Sell headlines. Keebler, do you got any comments on that little exchange?
I thought it was funny. Justin Tucker doing that in his home field. made it even funnier. I didn't really think much of it. But it just seemed like he was just trying to piss off Kelsey and Mahomes, which if I was that big of a player on my team at my home stadium right before a playoff game, I would have done the same shit, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny. I thought it was fun.
I think it's funny too. Before we bounce off, we've got Niners Chiefs Super Bowl. Give me your predictions and why. Nick, we'll start with you, buddy.
All right. So I've been going back and forth. Obviously, it's only been a couple of days past, post these other these championship games, but my initial thoughts. I'll go through my thought process. So my initial thought was I'm gonna go with Kansas City because Patrick Mahomes. I like him over Brock Purdy. He's been in this type of game. He's won these type of games. He just did it last year. And even when I think a lot of people thought Philly was probably a better football team, we also thought that Baltimore was a better football team. Probably even thought Buffalo was a better football team, but they still won. So I was like, okay, I think Kansas City's just going to go in and, they'll do their shenanigans. They might go down 10. It's seems like the same as all these years past, right? And then win in the end. But then I had a change of heart, and I think that the fact that George Kittle had that, that video of him on the Super Bowl field after losing to him in 2019 and said I'm going to be back here, and he hasn't been since then, and now it's against the same team. That additionally with Brock Purdy, I don't give a lot of credit to, and I should, because in these last two games, he did not play exceptionally well. But in the Green Bay game, he goes down when he needed to late in the game, and he put together a game-winning drive. And he did the same thing last game. They needed him to convert a 3rd and 4. If you get that stop, Detroit has a chance. And he goes and runs for 15 yards. He made the play, and they were able to score with McCaffrey. Those are actually really big-time plays and big-time games in the playoffs. And he got hurt last year. So these are kind of his first reps in big games like this. And he's making plays when they need them to, when they need him to. That with McCaffrey and Debo and all these guys that they have, Fred Warner's going to make it really tough on Travis Kelce. I know that. And I think that San Francisco pulls this game out. I think that they're the better football team, and obviously that doesn't really matter with the likes of Kelce and Reed, and Mahomes. But I just think that the revenge factor for Kittle, the big play ability at the end of the game in the last two games by Purdy, and the fact that they have the MVP, in my opinion, on their feet, on their sideline, I think that it's San Francisco's time to get a Super Bowl. So I'm going to pick San.
Oh, I like it. Nate, what do you think?
Well, first of all, everybody should take the off week and tune in this weekend because NASCAR's preseason clash event is in the Los Angeles Coliseum. Saturday is the heat races. Sunday is the Mexico Series race and the feature. So just tune in to FS1 and Fox this weekend. Just saying. But I'm going to take the Niners pretty comfortably by at least 10. I hate to go against Mahomes, but I have faith that Shanahan's going to run the offense in a not stupid manner like Todd Monken did last week. I think that the Niners have pieces on defense to, kind of neutralize Kelce and make sure the back end is okay. And I think that McCaffrey is going to get his carries, and he's going to get his carries real well. So that's where I'm at.
Yep.
Keebler, you agreeing, disagreeing with them?
I'm going to be a contrarian, and I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I don't know. I hate to be like, what is his name? Chris Collinsworth, where he sucks off Mahomes or whatever. But I hate going against Mahomes at this point, where it's it's like the same effect that you don't bet against Tom Brady, you don't bet against Mahomes. So, I counted out the Chiefs that entire game against the Ravens beforehand. Before the game started, I was like, the Ravens are winning, Ravens are winning, Ravens are winning. I put money on it, obviously. That being said, I think I'm going to go Mahomes. The 49ers haven't been able to stop the run game as well when they've been run against. So I think Pacheco is going to have a nice day. against the Niners. I think Rashee Rice, if he can get his looks, should be fine. I like that we get a match between the top two tight ends in the league, in my opinion, between Kelsey and Kittle. That being said, I think it's just going to come down to who makes more mistakes, and I think that the second-year quarterback is going to be more susceptible to making mistakes, and I think Mahomes is going to capitalize on that. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs by probably anywhere from 3 to 7.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I will agree with the other two, and mainly just because I can't do another Chiefs Super Bowl. I'm all in on the Niners. I think I love their playmakers, and I'm with Nick. I don't think Purdy gets enough credit, especially this last game, for the two huge runs he had late in the game to secure that win. And I don't want to see the Chiefs win, so I'm choosing Niners. So we're 3-1 Niners over the Chiefs here. Sorry, Keebler, you're obviously wrong. It is.
But
Good news, this one tonight.
I think
Not so.
hey, it's going to be a good game. Like, it's going to be
Yes,
very
it is.
two great teams. Everybody wanted Ravens Lions, but let's be honest, like, this is a great matchup. It really
Awesome
is.
matchup.
I'm not upset about it.
This is going to be a historic matchup for sure.
It's a great matchup.
Awesome, yeah.
This is going to be shades of Super Bowl in Tampa Bay when Tampa won.
I think so.
I don't think this is going to be the matchup that people are going to want.
Mm.
However, I will say this will probably be the most viewed Super Bowl in quite some time, mostly because of one person. But that's where I'm leaving that at.
Mm-hmm. Only mistakes popped in the chat here. That must mean the clap rout's over. Kev must have survived his saxophone playing. That's all we got today, fellas. Where can all our fine feathered friends catch you guys at? We'll start it down at the bottom and rotate it around. Nick, starting with you. We still got some people live on here, so let them know where they can find you at on the old interwebs.
Yeah, I mean, it's under my name at Buffalo Times on Instagram. It's kind of a lull period right now in the off season of the Bills, but we talk Bills, we talk just like NFL off season, trades, free agency, draft's going to be coming up soon. So if you want to tune in, give me a little follow. We have a lot of fun over there. So.
Nate, what about you, my NASCAR resident?
I'll be getting some NASCAR content coming out here. I mean, it's starting up. Usually when NFL season ends, that's when it really starts to get going. I mean, Clash this weekend, off weekend. Then you got the Daytona 500 coming up. Exciting stuff in my world. That's where you can find me.
Nice.
Keeps yourself.
Normally I just point to it, but you
can still point to it.
You can't see me right now, so you can find me on Instagram and X/Twitter at the Nick Stop. I'm working on getting that blue check mark back on X because I missed a payment, so just got to get that back, and then you'll start seeing me at the top of these X reply sections.
But give it to you.
Other than that, I think that's about it. James, where can we find you?
You can catch me, Keebler, and Kev every Thursday talking NBA over same channel. No trades or nothing we got to talk about. The old Pacers blew it for me tonight. I lost a major bet because of them blowing it, not completing the comeback. Every Thursday, 9, The Bounce, me, Kev Keebler. You can catch me every Wednesday talking Star Wars with Kev on our sister station, The Dweeb. Sometimes you can catch me talking Titans football here right now, but it's kind of like Nick. I don't want to talk about them right now. I want to be left alone. Yeah. They suck. Just leave me alone, please. So thank you to everybody in the chat. Albert, Bite Size Bikes, Only Mistakes. We had Sean early making fun of Nate. Appreciate you guys. It makes it much more enjoyable. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you guys for sticking with us this whole time. Until next time, go Niners, boo Chiefs. We don't want to see Taylor Swift win a Super Bowl. We'll see you guys.
Peace, boys.
Make sure to tune into The Bounce on Thursday so I can talk about my glorious king, Luka Doncic, dropping 73.
He called it. We'll see you guys Thursday.